Hey everybody, welcome to the Midday Roast with Team SI. This is our weekly podcast with our team members where we talk about strategies at work, tactics that we're using, and want to be able to share them with you guys to kind of help everybody, if you're a new business, small business, or a large business, how to increase your marketing efforts. So today we have very special guests. These are Kristen Nicholson and Megan Furneaux from our sister company, Mangan Holcomb Partners. And today we're talking specifically about event marketing. What works, why is it important, and what are some really good tactics and strategies that you can implement the next time that you want to run an event. So Kristen is our Director of Public Relations, and Megan is our Associate Public Relations Account Executive. And so I'm excited to talk to you guys about events. I know that yesterday you guys just had one for a kickoff to Men's Health. Mm-hmm. So talk to me about let's start at the beginning. What is event marketing?
So event marketing is a great way to market a brand, to promote maybe a product launch, to use a special event to interact maybe with potential customers, or whether it's B2B or B2C. It's also a great way to collect data for prospective clients, and it's a fun way to engage all your stakeholders.
Yeah, no, I definitely, I know a lot of it is, it's a lot of awareness. I think that we always talk about kind of the funnel. It's a lot about awareness, getting some kind of interaction with your brand. So why do you think, Megan, that event marketing is important? How do you think that it helps businesses?
Definitely generating the awareness, especially for events in terms of when you're doing any kind of fundraising. Generating awareness is really, it holds a big impact on the success of your event and then the success of the actual fundraiser, how much money you can raise. It also, I believe it's really important to just get the word out there. Let the general public know what you've got going on as a company. Make yourself known. I think that's a lot of times when you have new events that are coming up or that are just up and coming and starting, it's important initially to project that, to let people know, hey, we've got this coming up. We're here. We're going to do something fun. Come check us out. Mm-hmm. So it's also a way to get your company's name out there in the general public to know who you are.
Okay, awesome. And I think I've had the pleasure of working with kind of both of you on different event campaigns. And I think a lot of times we talk about it really from, it's not just an event, it's a full campaign. It's before, during, after. It's how are we, there's the fun thematics and, what's it going to look like, who's going to be there, but it's also how are we going to measure it? What are we asking for? What's the ask? So, Kristen, when you're setting up a campaign strategy, what's kind of your thought process for how that works?
Sure. Well, it's a great way. Events are a great way to engage your stakeholders, but you don't want to throw a party and no one show up. So you need to be very strategic about who is on the invite list. Are those invitees business prospects? Are they community leaders? Are you wanting to engage with influencers while they're at your event, they're going to be amplifying that message for you and sharing on social channels so that people who are not in attendance of the event can actually see what's going on at the event. So the invite list is key. How you promote the event in advance is also key. So social media plays a big role in that. Creating events on Facebook. Maybe whether it's through organic or through paid outreach on social media. I know hashtags could be a thing while you're at your event for engagement. Snapchat filters. Moving into the actual engagement during the event is so important. You mentioned the thematic. You don't want to, going back to not inviting someone to a party and no one showing up, but at the same time, if they show up, you want to make sure that they're having a good time, that they're engaged, that it's an interactive event, so that the theme makes sense for the organization, the theme makes sense for, the overall brand and what you're trying to accomplish. So you need to have in mind too, what is the ask while they're at the event. And going back to measurement too, once the event's over, how do you measure a successful event? Well, what's the call to action? There needs to be some sort of follow-up to that event. So while you're at the event, whether it's contests, Maybe it's you sign up to win something, but you need to be collecting that data. You can use the data collection from the paid ads on digital ads, but while they're there, how do you measure a successful event? Is it the number of touch points, the people that come and interact with you? Is it the number of people that visit a website or click on a certain link? So absolutely, measurement is important in everything we do marketing wise, but if you must measure it for event marketing as well.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. One of the tactics that I've been using with event campaigns is when a client is attending an event. So that's kind of a different rollout, but we're getting people to go to the attendee's LinkedIn profile. So that's been kind of a different digital tactic to let people know that we're going to be attending an event, and really kind of using similar strategies of if we're hosting or if we're attending, and kind of playing around with that. We've been really successful with that one. Kind of just get people's faces out there and really using the platforms to start kind of the connections. And I know another thing, Megan, I mean, you were just talking this right before we started about leaving your clipboard at the news station. So, when does something go to media broadcast, or how do you get that awareness from the front end, or what is that kind of like?
Well, before the event, one thing especially that you want to do is get your event on community calendars. It's a very simple thing. It's free. It's easy to do. You put it out there, and then all of a sudden the community is actually sharing your event. So that's a really big deal. And then probably a couple of weeks before, whenever you decide that you actually want to announce the event, you want to do a full release, a press release, news release, announcing the event. When's it going to be? What is it benefiting? Things that might be at the event, if there's activities or celebrities or any kind of opportunities that will be there. And then right before the event, it's really good to send out, if you are wanting media coverage, which usually you do, because that will also help get that general awareness out there as well. And you want to show the community all of the good things that you are doing. So sending out that media advisory just right before to all of the news stations, any TV, any print that you would want to come, and think about the outlets that you're reaching out to. Depending on your event, you might want to target your audience to a particular type of outlet. If it's an outdoor event, you're wanting to get the outdoor magazines involved, things of that nature. So doing that right before the event, letting them know we've got photo and interview opportunities, we've got this, and this going on. Make it exciting, and hopefully you can generate people coming out to the event and covering it. And when you do that, that also ties back in with Kristen's point on measuring. You can measure the success of that event, and you can show all of the impressions that you've gained from that coverage.
I would also say that grassroots outreach is also important. So you have the traditional media outreach or the PR. You also have your digital outreach with the paid, maybe it's events on Facebook and digital. But grassroots, don't underestimate your good old-fashioned flyer or posters, or just the power of your own person-to-person network and word of mouth. Making sure that you're utilizing all of the channels. So putting a slider on your website. Maybe it is a little memo at the bottom of your email signature, just to let people know that this event's happening. Sending out emails to just your own network to let them know this is happening. We did a health fair a few days back, and part of that was just outreach to different community organizations like churches, just to let them know that this free event is happening, and it's a very important for awareness, and that it's a great community event just to get out there and help us spread the word. So there's so many different avenues, and just making sure that you use all of the channels that are available.
Yep, I totally agree with that. And I think to your point with grassroots and digital, a lot of times we think of that as our first party data. So just kind of bringing all the lingo across. But yes, no, I totally agree with you. The grassroots effort is something, the organic side of it, it's talking to your own network and having them become more brand loyal and kind of represent that by attending. and making sure that your audience that you already have a conversation with, they know what you're doing, they're brand loyal to you, they're kind of showing up, so it definitely kind of keeps them engaged with you. And so I definitely agree with that. Let's see. So when people are at events, you talked about games, you talked about celebrities, you talked about some of that. I know at Kickoff to Men's Health, there's, I think don't they kind of play a game as they walk through? Is that kind of visiting the booth? So tell me about that, because that's definitely keeping people kind of, because with that, I mean, don't they kind of, you don't want them to sit around, you want people doing stuff. So what's kind of
part
there?
of the thought process there is we had vendors and sponsors with booths. So it's a free health event, and the whole goal was to raise awareness for prostate cancer, but to have men come out and get screened. And we all know that men don't really like to go to the doctor, and especially don't like to get their prostate exams. But it's very important, and if those are if it's done early, then it can be it can be caught early, and you can save lives. So we not only wanted to get men screened, but we wanted them to go and visit all of the vendors who were taking time out of their day to be there, but were also sponsors. So we created a bingo type game, and with every person who got screening, they would get a little bingo card, and you'd have to go to each vendor and get your stamp. And if you turned in your bingo card with all the stamps from all the vendors, you would get entered into a drawing for a big screen TV. Or, and then everyone would also get different packages like free t-shirts and other free swag that was all heavily branded for the health clinic. So different ideas just to increase engagement, but at the same time it's a great way to collect information as well, because they'd have to fill out their contact information in order to win this big screen TV. And so that's a way to do follow-up afterwards, and to enter emails into your newsletter for follow-up follow-up contact.
Yeah, and it's a great way to get your sponsors involved, especially if you're hosting a free event. It's a benefit to them to want to participate in your event. So I think that's definitely something on that side. So when you're talking about getting people excited, putting in the Facebook events, how do you kind of manage that on social media? Kind of what are your thoughts? Like creating Facebook events definitely is something that I always check. I probably check events and things and see more things that my friends are interested in. I'm like, yes, I want to go to that too. So I mean, and then you talked about getting on calendars. Kind of what's that process? What is that? Like?
It really kind of varies, I believe, just between what you are promoting. A perfect example just from the other event that we did a couple of days ago. We definitely wanted to generate some engagement on their Facebook page while the event was happening, just because if there were any wives that were scrolling through Facebook right then and there, seeing that we had free screenings going on for their husbands, that might push them to say, hey, get up there and go. Or we've got another event on the 28th of September that we could, try to push them towards. But we went ahead and took the opportunity. We had some live radio remotes there, and we took the opportunity that during one of those interviews, we just did a Facebook Live. So it was very informative, and we were able to take that interview and not only get it out on the radio, but we could also put it on Facebook Live, and we could generate engagement that way as well. So that was definitely beneficial, but it's just, it also depends on your particular event.
Right.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about a different type of event.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a type of event that we put together that our client has been a sponsor at a booth, and not necessarily thrown the entire event, and how you can leverage your sponsorship to make sure that you are getting your message across, and leverage your sponsorship to get the most engagement out of your booth. So if you are a vendor at an event, making sure that you are asking for a certain amount of Facebook posts. Prime real estate, if you're a sponsor of an event, making sure that you have the best booth location, and that you are in you have logo and brand recognition on all of the event signage, and that if they're doing interviews, that you, as a sponsor, that you get first right of refusal to do all the media interviews, that they're constantly sharing and promoting your booth on the event social media pages, so that even though you're sponsoring the event and you're attending as a vendor, that your brand is getting promoted. And then while you're there, thinking through the thematic of it, how are you going to pull people into your booth? Because you are one of many booths at this event. So a recent event that we did for a client was at First Friday in downtown Bentonville. We were trying to think of cool ways to get people to come to our booth, and it was very successful. So we thought of oversized games, what kind of giveaways we could do. Is it hot outside? Do you need to have misters and fans? What's going to keep them at the booth so that they're not just coming by saying, oh, what do you have that's free, but they're actually staying and engaging with you and actually learning about your brand. And it's all, at the end of the day, it all comes back to that brand awareness and turning these consumers into, loyal, making them loyal to your brand.
No, I think that's a good call out, especially because more times I think businesses are more likely to be a sponsor than they are to host a whole lot of events, right? There's only so much marketing budget. So when you're attending an event as a sponsor, taking advantage of the opportunity, understanding the audience and the ask, and I think even being strategic with what things you want to sponsor,
Absolutely.
I think that's a big part of it. And I know that you guys work with clients to kind of look through is this still working, or is there a new event that we need to know about? Because I think that's part of the event strategy process as well, right?
Absolutely.
So we've kind of talked about the before, we've talked about the during. Tell me kind of about the after. We talked on it, but so what would you recommend as the follow-up? Is it, you have the contact information, I know I need to follow up with them, what do I do?
So I think it depends on obviously who your stakeholders are. If it's a smaller event, thank you notes to key people. Let's say it was a smaller event and you have some C-suite level executives that were your special guest, maybe with some high profile public officials. Don't ever underestimate the power of a handwritten thank you note. A call, doing something with all of the data that you've collected. So if you have all these email addresses and phone numbers, entering them into a database so that they can be subscribed to your newsletter, or maybe it's just even having their address for future digital campaigns. So important. So you always have to do something to collect those informations. Maybe it's a post-event survey so that you can have key learnings for how you can improve your next event. Maybe it's a special offer. They attended the event, and now you want to get them inside of a store with a special offer. So they're aware of you, and again, going back to that funnel, they've attended your event. They have a certain amount of awareness from your brand. You want to push that you got their email. They're into the system. You want to push them into a store, and to get them into a store is through a special offer. Or let's say you are a nonprofit, and the ask is to donate money, or maybe it's donate time, and so you can make specific asks. It's just the data is so important. You never know when you're going to have a call to action, but you should always do some sort of follow-up post-event.
Yes, I completely agree. And one of the things that I would add is when you are contacting someone, if you're going to send them, if it's an email, letting them know, thank you for attending this event. Like, address within the thank you and in the follow-up that this is how I got your information. So that way consumers know, where is this coming from? Why are you contacting me? And that's going to help you not go to delete or unsubscribe. Definitely address it and make it personalized to this event. This is why I'm contacting you, and this is what I'd like to offer you to do the next thing. Plus, it makes it really great, like to your example about giving an offer for the follow-up. That's a way to say this event led to this person going into the store and really showing ROI on the back end. So really thinking about how it all kind of connects together. So I think that's definitely the good before, during, after strategy. And the last thing that I want to ask is the more, back to the media stuff, the more traditional media. When you're asking media to be there or doing remotes or whatever, what do you think makes an event newsworthy? Like, why, I can get people on social media interested and excited, but getting a media outlet to show up at an event or to get to do a morning show or something like that is definitely something that is more foreign to me in the digital world. So what is that kind of process like in your guys' world?
I'll jump in and say for TV, it's all about the visual. You know, what can you say? Well, what's going on here? What makes this visually appealing? You know, if it's just an event like it's seated dinner, that type of event, that's more of a society party pics type of coverage because you want to see all the movers and shakers that are in attendance of this event. If it is, maybe it's a forum or a panel, that's more of a news angle. How does this impact society, the community? Are there business angles there, economic impact stories? I mean, what about the trends? Are we talking about any latest trends and how will this impact the community or businesses in the area? If it's a health fair, you know, it's all about raising awareness and getting the community to come out and get screened for some sort of health event. Print, for any type of print coverage, that's going to be a lot of more of advanced coverage or talking about just the news angle of that. Like if maybe it's city leaders that are coming together to sit on a panel, or maybe it's businesses that are coming to sit on a panel to talk about best practices in XYZ area. So you would look for that specific beat reporter to come in and interview the panelists to talk about best practices in that area. And then for a photographer for print, it would be just a photo of something unique, some cool art. So if you're at an event and you have a cute kid that's doing sidewalk chalk, that makes for a great photo in the Sunday paper or the Democrat Gazette. So I think it just depends on what the angle. You need to find that newsworthy hook. It needs to be appropriate for that media outlet. But there's definitely ways that you can make an event newsworthy. You just have to find that hook. And it can't be a one-size-fit-all approach.
Right.
Don't send a news release out and just think that you're going to get all the kind of coverage and news interest. It takes a specialized pitch, but that's why you need a PR professional to help you. That's why you need a PR professional to go in and figure out what is that hook, what's that unique angle, and how can we get, what reporter is right for this event. And also be strategic in your invite list.
Right.
Invite media, invite reporters that you think to invite them to be your special guest. Don't really ask for anything. Just say, hey, thought you might be interested in this. Would you like to be my guest? And more likely than not, they'll end up writing about it.
Okay, great. Do you have anything to add to that, Megan? I know that's a great list.
Yeah, that was like a fabulous answer. I mean, no, I don't even think I would really have anything to truly add on to that other than just that consulting that PR professional to find the hook. You know, it's definitely, there's definitely a science to it, and it does take some brainstorming, but that's, you know, that's what you got to do beforehand, and that's great. You know, I don't even know where I was going to go with that. So and do it gracefully.
I think a couple of things to think about are staying newsworthy during the event. A really great way to use social media or thinking about all the behind the scenes looks. Giving, potential Facebook Live, it's promoting the panel that's going to be there, having a conversation with them for your audience before the event or after, or if it's exclusive questions that they can submit that are only available online after the event through Facebook Live. It's a great way to kind of keep some engagement going. Potentially, if you have a podcast, like Midday Roast is also Facebook Live and a podcast. So using that as an avenue to kind of promote and keep that message going across the board for your digital platforms. And Instagram, a lot of times what I'm seeing on Instagram is it's fun photos of people kind of relaxed and a little bit more enjoying themselves. Exclusive shots of kind of the setup and getting ready. It's a little bit less, the nice photographer soiree kind of picture. It's more the behind the scenes and the people doing things. So it's definitely the things that I see as far as events from the digital kind of social media things.
Well, speaking of Facebook Live, we've actually used that as an avenue to pitch media as well. So let's say you have an event and media can't attend because they're covering, 10 other events that are happening at the same time. Or maybe they're just short-staffed, because we're seeing that more and more, that media outlets, or their staff's getting smaller and smaller, and they just can't be outside of the studio. So you let them know that you're going to be doing the Facebook Live, and you invite them to tune in so they don't have to leave their desk, their news desk. they can get everything that they need from the Facebook Live, and that's just another way to use Facebook Live and PR and to get that story out there with media.
Absolutely.
They have the ability to share that on all of their social sites as well. So that's another good back end on that.
Yeah, no, totally agree. Okay, well, I think that we've had a great conversation today about event marketing. What is it? Why is it important? How to set up a strategy, and really talking about the overall benefits from awareness to actual end consumer. And I think, definitely to your guys' point, the PR strategy behind it, it's definitely not a, hey, let's do an event next week. I'm sure that you ladies could pull that off, but I think definitely going into having a plan, knowing when's the right time to host your own event or attend one, I think is definitely part of the overall strategy. So I appreciate you guys being here.
Thanks for having us.
All right, guys, be sure to like and share our Facebook Live with your friends. Leave comments and questions, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks.